A referendum for September 25th has been scheduled to discuss the establishment of a new Kurdish country in what is present-day Iraq. This following years of war with the Islamic State. To many, it seems only natural that Jerusalem is one of the few, if not the only voice of support for Kurdish statehood. And here to help us tackle the reasons why is Dr. Mordechai Kedar, who served for 25 years in the IDF military intelligence and is an expert in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So let's begin with the basic question. What needs to happen for a Kurdish state to be established?
Well, because of the location of this country, which is like an island between Iran, Turkey, Syria, and Arab part of Iraq, they need the goodwilling of the others, because otherwise they will be confined. They will not be able to export anything, especially oil, if they want to, to have some economy. And but unfortunately, all these countries around them objected.
So, this is clearly a very controversial topic. Why is Israel supporting it? The
Because
establishment of a Kurdish state.
We look at this from the principal point of view. The Kurds are the biggest ethnic group in the world which does not have a state. Mm-hmm. If the French deserve a state, if the British deserve a state, why should the Kurds deserve a state?
So how much influence does Israel truly have in the matter?
I'm not sure that Israel has much influence, because here many interests actually are against it. The Turkish are totally against it because they are afraid that this state will create unrest inside Turkey. The same thing is with the Iranians, the same thing with the Syrians, which I don't know how much they are today in control of the country.
So these are the countries that are clearly mainly will be affected by a Kurdish state. Now, how big would this proposed country actually be?
Well, today it will be like a quarter of Iraq, which is populated by Kurds, but potentially when Iran eventually will fall apart, there is another Kurdish part in Iran. And maybe Turkey as well, if the insurgency will rise and the Kurds in Turkey will be willing to join this country, maybe they will gain some kind of autonomy, which will enable them to have some kind of...
But then, we have to go back to the security of the state as well, right? Which is obviously, this is not going to be an easy thing to do, and the country will face a lot of security issues. How do you secure those borders around it?
The Kurds in Iraq have an army. Is the Peshmerga. And they are very effective, they are very brave. Even the girls, the ladies who are the soldiers, they are as brave as could be. And, everybody should take them very seriously, because if they decide to have a state, they, in some kind of a constellation, they might be able to impose their will on the others. And don't forget, they fought against ISIS very bravely, and actually the Americans in some way use them. And I think that maybe America will support this Kurdish statehood at the end of the day.
So speaking of that, when Israel was built, they used a British mandate as a skeleton. What skeleton will the Kurds have at their disposal? And obviously, if it's Iraqi or otherwise Arab, what are the promises of that type of skeleton?
Well, first of all, we have to bear in mind that this part of Iraq is already autonomous for 26 years, since 1991, when the ban on flying was imposed on Saddam Hussein in the aftermath of the war on Kuwait. So they actually have their parties, they have their economy, they have flourishing economy. Erbil, their capital, is a flourishing state with so many cranes. And cranes is building, optimism, investments. And this is what Erbil today, very nice and very very fast developing city. And they have parties, and they have mass media, and they have everything which a state needs. Now, they want to have the seal of approval of the world for their statehood apart from Iraq. Well, I'm not sure, personally, I'm not sure that they will have the referendum, although they talk about this. Maybe they threaten the world by having this referendum in order to maybe blackmail or maybe to get some things from the neighboring countries. Okay, don't make the referendum, we'll give you this and that. So maybe this is some kind of negotiations by threatening of this referendum. But maybe it will be. I don't know what will be.
We still have to wait and see. And we'll also have to wait and see what type of role Israel truly ends up playing in this. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Mordechai Kedar.